I believe that any person with common sense or a small grasp of history understands that there were a lot of poor white people who were in the middle and used as pawns in this war, just like black people were. Let's all tear down those same structures that enslaved people like me and kept people like you and your family poor and killed some of your family members for a useless war.
Right. And my whole thing is I don't ever have a problem with reinventing a symbol.
Yeah.
Or like trying to redefine, because it's like I always bring it back to Nazi Germany and the idea that not once do Germans try to denounce what happened in their culture. Like, this is our history. Oh, I just got the NFL has agreed to test for having daily tests for COVID.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if you heard, like Russell Wilson and Pat Mahomes. They, like, the last couple of days been making all these tweets, and everyone's been retweeting about like what's going to be the standard, this, that, and the other.
So
the NFL had just agreed for daily COVID testing.
Yeah, you know what? Because if anybody can stand up, it's these guys. These guys are already millionaires.
Yeah, so I don't know if you heard about the contract that he just signed.
Oh, the Pat Mahomes?
Yeah.
So on that podcast that I sent you, they were talking about it. It's like, what is it? Almost a half $1 billion?
10-year deal.
Oh my gosh.
10 years.
Man.
But so I know NFL contracts are different from all the other contracts is because they're not guaranteed.
Yes.
So that's why the guaranteed money is so important.
Yep.
But the idea that the better the player you are, the earlier you can restructure your contract.
Yep.
So he's got a lot of money that's going to come. And even though they're like, oh, he's not going to get a lot of that money till the end, it's all about how much guarantee money he gets today. And then in 7 years, he can restructure that and get another guaranteed chunk for another 10-year deal.
That's crazy. So, they were saying like the guaranteed money is like 140.
Yeah, 100. I want to say 100. It may actually be more than that. I got to check. But yeah, it's like a ridiculous amount. And if you thinking about how quarterbacks are signed,
yeah,
most quarterbacks are getting 3 to 5 year deals, maybe.
Wow.
So to do 10 years, that's like, it's ridiculous.
Listen, I'm fine with 140 guarantee. I think my family would be good on for 140.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think we can, we can finagle some things and figure it out. All right. Let's start it off. I'm No Justin, No Peace.
And I'm Lou Rivers.
And we are the Loose Cannons Podcast because we sit down and we fire off our opinions on today's pop culture.
What else?
Politics.
What else?
Movies and TV and how they all intersect. And oh, baby, do we have a good episode for you guys?
Don't we?
Man, we've been gone for a little bit.
Just a little bit. Just don't want people to think that we just fell off the earth and...
I know. A little tiny break, man. But listen, we got some great content for you guys. We're going to be doing some more great content throughout the summer. Let's jump into it, man. We missed a couple of things. Some things was brewing up while we was off, man. Listen, Old Spice is going crazy. And by Old Spice, I mean Terry the Coon. I mean Terry Crews. Terry Crews.
Okay.
The one interesting thing is like a lot of these guys are like getting themselves fired up, and it's not like during interviews. It's not off the cuff. It's not like people are just like TMZ is popping up and finding them and like getting them to say things. They going on willfully onto Twitter and just wilding, saying all kinds of inflammatory stuff. Like, what is up with Terry, dog?
I respect the fact that he's got an opinion.
Okay.
And he's strong enough to say it.
Yes.
But being brave and being strong does not make you right.
It does not make you right.
And I mean, I respect the idea that, okay, you don't think the same and you don't feel the same, because I have felt myself in this position also.
Yeah.
but I'm tactful. I
Yeah.
know when my words mean
Yeah.
something, and I know when I can tear a whole lot down with my
Yes.
opinion. So
Yes.
sometimes, I have to be tactful, and I'll disagree and I'll say something, but to go blatantly against the feelings of someone else
Yeah.
and knowing that what you're saying is not productive, is not beneficial.
What
Like
did he help? Was the Black Lives Matter movement on Terry Crews Twitter and was like, oh, we don't want to be that. Let's change some things up.
yeah.
Since Terry said it.
I like, and what is this? This is like the third or fourth time that he said something in the last
Yes.
couple of months.
Yes.
And I'm just at this point, like I'm having a hard time, like just keeping it all together. And I mean, the whole thing is, it'd be one thing if this was just your thing,
Yeah.
but like you've got so many other things that you've said about different topics, as far as what his experiences in the industry,
Yes.
his relationship with his wife,
Yep.
like you're starting to build a repertoire of being this person who does these things.
Yep.
That's not what you want.
Mm-hmm.
You want your opinion to actually mean something,
Yes.
and for your opinion not to just always be a joke when it comes out your mouth.
Yes.
So I don't know.
I feel like this is like the new thing. Like, history is repeating itself. And when we talk about liberation, specifically Black liberation, and the structures and the organizations that were behind it, let's talk about the Panthers, SNCC, Martin Luther King and his movement. All of those structures, the nation, all of those structures were torn down. People hated those structures at the time. As much as we want to talk about Dr. King right now, everybody's acting like they loved him. Like, Dr. King, oh yeah, King, King, King. No. Like, the polls back there were 60, 70% of people did not trust him. They did not like what he was saying. They thought that he was outrageous.
Right.
And it's the same thing that seems to be repeated with BLM. Now, granted, as much as people want to say about the organization and where funding may be coming from and where it's not coming from and where it might be going, but at the end of the day, organization aside, it started as a simple statement on Twitter. And there's an issue with people just saying Black Lives Matter. Like, like, you have a problem with the idea of Black Lives Matter. Just because you use a racial term does not make it racist. To say white, to say black, to say any of those things does not mean you're racist. You're just using a descriptive term. Even though I am one of those people who believe there is only one race, the human race, but we live in a society in which these words are already being used, so we use them to describe and to be able to have these conversations. But to say that a group of people with a darker hue of skin matter, why is that a problem? And anytime a person brings up an issue in that regard, I always have to side-eye them. Like, why is this the issue you want to target, Terry? Like, why is this the one that you're worried about? How much energy are you giving to other issues? It's just crazy to me. Like, and this is the trend right now. Everybody hates this organization, and they lump them all together. Black Lives Matter, Antifa, just like the KKK. It's like, come on, guys, come on, stop it.
Yeah, we're in a tough spot because we're at a position where we want to unify voices, but at the same time, we're having a difficult time having one voice. That's the whole thing. Anyone who sways off from that voice is what everyone's going to have a problem with. And that's the whole thing. We have to create these conversations so that people can have discussions.
Yes.
So, I mean, even though we're at a point where people are saying things that not everyone feels, I'm also in the respects of we can't just diminish what his opinion is. We have to tell him, like, all right, this is how we feel. And we understand what you're saying, but maybe we're not at that point in the fight yet. we're not at that point where, of
Yes.
course, we want to all be equal. We want to all see ourselves benefit from this.
Yes.
We're not at the point where other people can accept that. We have to actually force them to actually see it that way,
Yeah.
so that then we can go forward with this idea of equality. You know?
Yes. Could you please direct message Terry with that? Cause like it just keeps going. But I mean, it was real serious a couple of weeks ago because those same people who are holding up Terry like, yeah, see what he's saying, guys, are like, Bubba Wallace was lying with the deep state.
Yo, Bubba's my man, son.
The deep state.
It's a tough. I like for everything that's happening right now. Bubba Wallace is, he may not even be that much in a political fight or race, but the whole thing is that his presence in the industry where there are nobody else, there is no, is enough. And for the fact that in all sports, NASCAR has taken it upon themselves to do much more than almost any of the other sports that actually have minorities. It's crazy.
It is crazy.
I commend NASCAR for doing that work right now.
It was a beautiful thing how they rallied behind him and then walking with his vehicle and standing in solidarity for something that does happen. Even if we want to say that it did not happen in particular to him, he didn't say that he saw it. He was clear about not seeing it himself. He was told about it. Why are we trying to make him a villain now? It's like they're trying to use Bubba Wallace as the anecdote that they're going to use to say that there is no racism, which is so interesting because it seems like the same people who are trying to disprove there is no racism are the ones who are saying, nope, you're being racist against people of white people. Like, that's so weird. It's like you're trying to say there is no racism, but if there is, look at how you treating the white folks. Like, it either there's racism or there's not. Like, it's just, come on. Like, and that joint look a little bit noosey, dog. Like, I mean, it was a little bit new. It was a weird, like, it was a weird garage door pull. It was very odd. Very, very odd. But can't both things be true?
Right.
Can't somebody have, like, tied it in the form of a noose and it was a garage door pull? And, like, it's messed up.
But, I mean, according to the president, that's not.
But people act like nooses didn't exist before Bubba Wallace. Like, the point that there was such an uproar with Bubba Wallace is that people were lynched with something like this, and we have documentation, we have pictures of these things. Like, we don't need the FBI to prove that. We know people were murdered and lynched using nooses. Like, it's just like, come on, it doesn't erase all of that. And that was only 50, 60 years ago. 60, 70 years ago. It's not that long ago, guys.
And the other thing that I think that we kind of miss is he had this interview the other day that I had ended up watching, and I respect the idea of in a way he's explaining how he understands that there's multiple reasons why people love the Confederate flag. And I can understand it also. I mean, it's not everything has to have the exact symbolism, but the symbolism is a lineage. And he's just explaining that, like, I'm never going to say that someone can't hold that dear to them. Even though, and now if they know the history, but the whole thing is that, all right, well, in NASCAR, we're not going to accept it. So if you do it in your house, you do it by yourself, you do it, cool. But if you can't bring it to NASCAR. And that's what NASCAR is doing.
And you can't bring it to state capitals that represent all of the people of the state. Like, this is simple. Like, no, I don't want to get rid of the Confederate flag. Like, that is you. If you want to have it on your car, you want to have it on your house, it represents your heritage, I'll even sit down and listen to it. But you also have to understand the nuances of it. Like, even when you represent the American flag, you've got to understand that, yes, this is the land of opportunity, but it's also the land of mass genocide. It's also the land of slavery, the transatlantic slave. Like, it has multiple things that have happened under this flag. So people, if you're going to accept your flag, you got to accept all of it. You got to accept the nature of, your family. They were losers. They lost the war. You got to accept that.
Right.
They were fighting for something, but some of them were also pawns in fighting for the institution of slavery.
Right.
That's not your family's fault. I believe that any person with common sense or a small grasp of history understands that there were a lot of poor white people who were in the middle and used as pawns in this war, just like black people were. Let's all tear down those same structures that enslaved people like me
Mm-hmm.
and kept people like you and your family poor and killed some of your family members for a useless war.
Right. And my whole thing is I don't ever have a problem with reinventing a symbol
Yeah.
or like trying to redefine, because it's like I always bring it back to Nazi Germany and the idea that not once do Germans try to denounce what happened in their culture. Like, this is our history.
Yeah.
As bad as it is, this is something we have to own, and we have to go forward and own it and continually make the progression to denounce what has happened and to know that it'll never happen. Because as long as we can continue teaching about it, we can make sure that our kids know not to.
Yes.
And that's like our whole thing here in America is that no, we're going to sweep it underneath the rug. So no,
You
that
can't.
will continue to build because you've never expressed that this is a negative thing that America has.
Yes.
So everybody is just going to, oh, we were right, because look, if it was so wrong, why did they say anything about it after the war? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's always been that thing about, all right, well, we're going to hide it. All right, well, we're going to act like it doesn't exist. So we're going to, of course. So the people who have been oppressed are going to continue to feel oppressed.
Yes.
So I don't know. I think that it's something that America has to confront head on.
Yes.
And not like, all right, well, we're going to just do these things and it's going to be better.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I wish we had like a platform, and I was envisioning this platform in which like people can sit down that have opposing opinions and they can actually flesh those out. Not like on a CNN in which, it's just like, oh, say what I want to say, hot points, without actually having factual evidence to back it up. Like, like if you had a situation in which people would debate but have live fact checkers that would say, you can say, listen, fact check that point. Because like when we're having these conversations, sometimes it just requires a person to say, listen, all of the evidence that we found is to the contrary of your belief. It is possible that some of the things that you received were stories and they weren't actual facts of what happened. Now that may change people's opinions, and for it to happen live at that time on a platform, people will be able to get information, not just the people who are doing the debate, but the audience, so that they know like, oh, well, that was wrong. Like with this whole situation about black on black crime and all of these crime rate statistics. Like I'm reading threads on Twitter, going through Facebook, and everybody uses this term, and it's like, it's simple. Like, where did that term come from, guys? Like, do you realize that the facts that people present about the crime statistics and the murder rates, they never present the other murder rates of any other group that are very similar? Like, if it's 80% and 85%, and if, okay, black on black crime is let's say it's a huge thing. Let's say, I hate the term.
Right.
By and large, a black person gets killed by another black person if they're murdered. Fine, by and large. So then, if I'm going to accept that as true and you accept that as true, then you should be less fearful of me, because you have a way lower percentage of being murdered by me than you would by someone who looks like you. So it's like, even people don't even know how to interpret the statistics that they receive. They look at it like, oh, you guys are violent. No, people just kill people who they're around, and we live in a highly segregated place. So it's like, sometimes you need people, because you have people who are reading stuff and don't even have the background to understand, to decipher through all of this information, to be able to understand what it means, how to assess that, how to apply these things. It's like they're using the counter argument as their own argument.
Right.
Like black on black crime is not a good argument about why white communities are scared of black communities, because that would mean you're safer, sir.
Right.
Like the odds of me trying to hurt you is very low. You're safer.
You know me, I'm a big on statistics and information, and
Yep.
I just feel like we're in a place where people don't know the information that they have. Two, they don't know how to apply it.
Yep.
And three, they're not thinking about what other things affect that information that you just received, you know? And that's it. Like,
What other things?
It's always a big gap where people are just like, oh, well, you know, let's say, like we're talking about black on black crime.
Yep.
And you're just like, oh, well, you know, this happens everywhere. And it's just like, honestly, in most races, the same race kills the same race.
That's it.
That's one thing. Like
That's
all murders, all everything. The other thing is most of these things happen in poor communities. So it usually has more of a chance of having to do with social structure than it actually does with race issues. Because the idea is that, well, the majority of people in these communities are the same race. So you're just like, oh, well, it doesn't happen in the suburbs. Of course, there's a less concentration. There's less people. There's variables that would contribute to the idea of people killing other people.
That's it.
It's just it's crazy how
it didn't just happen. It doesn't just happen. And you know, the worst thing is the name calling, and specifically, like, I don't even like the term criminal, because people attribute the term criminal as if it's a personality trait. As opposed to a descriptor of a person who does an action. Like if you go run, you're a runner. Like if you're on a bike, you're a biker. If you commit a crime, you're a criminal. That's that. So it's just a descriptor based off of you doing an action, not an intrinsic thing. But mentally, in our society, we make it an intrinsic thing. You committed a crime, you're a criminal. You stole, you're a thief. That's in you. It's not in any of us. Conditions create all of this. It just so happens that a lot of us have been put in situations in which we haven't hit that powder keg. Like, if you can sit there, we have men in this society, right? In United States has a gun culture, huge gun culture. And we say to ourselves, listen, as a man, I have to protect my family. So that means as a man, that I will go to the hills to protect my family if that means taking another person's life. So that means murder is in you, but you're utilizing that energy in a particular situation. So the reasoning behind why you would murder is this. Now take that out of the context. If you're trying to save yourself or your family, you would commit murder. Now another person is trying to survive in life. They're trying to survive and take care of their family. So it's just about percentages. It's just about where you are, where you envision yourself at that moment, what you need to do. People commit murder all the time, and it's not just because there's some delinquent, horrible, horrific, demonic people. It's just that if you were in that situation, like, no one can say what they will do until they're in those particular situations. Until you have $0, until you your education was poor, until all of these things come together. And then the number one opportunity that presents themselves is you joining a gang so that you can start selling drugs. And then in that gang, they tell you that we're a family and you're going to have to protect your family. There's no difference. The gang member is my brother. It's no different from me putting my life on the line for my real brother. These things are all the same. They're all aligned, but we want to separate ourselves. There is no crime that most of us would never commit, except I put this one thing in a different bracket: rape. That's the one thing that I put over here. Rape, pedophilia, different bracket. Everything else, listen, at the end of the day, if I had $0, I don't know what point that would be. I would fight to the hill to provide for my family.
Right.
But if I knew that I had an opportunity where I needed to steal to feed my kids, would I do that?
Right. Exactly.
Yes.
Yep. In a
And what
heartbeat.
person wouldn't? So I'm no different from the dude who just committed the theft. It's just that my situation wasn't at that point where I needed to. I've been afforded these opportunities in which I don't have to. So it's important that we put ourselves in the position of these people, of the criminals. Like, I know we going off on another tangent, but I've been having these conversations about policing, and it's like, I don't care how a police officer would treat a person who they know hasn't committed a crime and know is not dangerous. That's not my interest, because that's easy. That's what makes the job easy. It's how you're going to handle a criminal.
Exactly.
The respect that you give a criminal, because your job is to bring them in to receive justice in the court of law. And that's that.
Yep. And
Nothing else.
My big thing about a police officer's job is to keep the community safe.
Yes.
The thing that they always forget is that the criminals are part of the community.
Are part of the community, dog.
If you can humanize the people that you are apprehending as much as you're trying to protect the people that are on the outside looking in, maybe we can have safer policing. Maybe.
You know what's so ill about this whole thing? It's like, I was thinking about the finances of policing and how it just does not make sense. Like, if a person commits, let's move it to like a petty crime, like theft. Like, you go into a store, you steal. Let's say you go into a jewelry store and you rob the jewelry store of maybe even $10,000 worth of goods, right? So we're going to prosecute this person because of the amount of whatever they stole. Maybe they went to the Apple store, stole a whole bunch of MacBooks to go resell. No matter what it is, a lot of money is on the line. $10,000, $15,000. Now, what does it cost to prosecute that person? It probably costs, hundreds of thousands of dollars. You got the judge, you got the prosecution, you got the research that goes behind it, you got the police officers that brought him in, you got the facility that he's housed in. And then after they get prosecuted, let's say they did commit the crime, now you're putting them to jail for how long? Let's say 5 years. What's the cost of that? Hundreds of thousands of dollars more. $50,000 to $70,000 a year is required to put somebody behind bars. So we're talking to the tune of what? Over $250,000, $300,000, $400,000 for a person who stole $10,000 worth of goods. Now, was that a proper use of that $400K?
Justice served.
Justice served. Now, would you okay? So let's say you're the person he stole from.
Right.
Okay, Lewis, guy stole $10,000 from you, and I came to you. I said, Lewis, give me $400K, and I'm gonna get the guy for you.
Let me think about it.
You would not do that. So why do we do that as a society? Now, because we don't want to do the work and ask ourselves the real questions. Why did he steal the $10,000 worth of goods?
Exactly.
Now, if we want to just say it's just debauchery, then we end nowhere. But if we find out what's really behind the situation, the guy was trying to make some money, he was going to sell it, going to feed his family or feed himself, whatever. What he stole before, but he was utilizing it to survive in life. So instead of us using the $400,000, maybe we use $50,000 to $100,000 to rehabilitate his ass.
Thank you.
Put him through school. $100,000 puts him through school. Now he gets out in 5 years. In the other way, we spent $500,000 already. He gets out in 5 years. He probably goes back to a life of crime. And then we go spend another $500,000. Or we can spend $100,000 up front right now, put him through school, give him a trade, whatever it is. And now he is likely to not return to that life of crime, because the life of crime doesn't make sense anymore.
Right.
Because one of the things is I feel like TV has misdirected, the life of a criminal, What we see is Scarface, we see Frank Lucas, we see all of these drug dealers, and we think big money rolling in, oh, they got money everywhere, they partying. That is not the life of the average criminal.
Right. What did they say? The average drug dealer makes like 15 grand to 25 grand, something like that?
That's it.
He can't. He's not making minimum wage.
He's not making minimum wage. If he was making $15 an hour, and it's less work because he's out there all day to make that money. Working 8 hours at the $15 an hour, he'd be making $30K a year. If we put people in position to be making 30, 35, 50, 40, 50K,
right,
they're not going to that life of crime. They're not.
But this is why,
and we're safer.
I think the idea of rehabilitation is so important that it's not even a process in the idea of like, all right, let's say anybody who, not even just the crime itself.
Yeah.
Most people are on the brink of poverty, period. So the idea that someone gets a ticket or has had a ticket that they couldn't pay for months, I think that we need a certain system for certain levels where one thing that most people have when they can't make money is they have time usually.
Time.
So the idea of volunteering your time or being able to contribute to what your fine would be by giving service, I think that that's something that we should consider for the people who can't pay all these fees, everything that costs money to go to court, period. You know what I mean?
That's it, man. It's silly. It's a punitive system that's not working. Like we're just the interesting thing is the only reason why it continues is because it's a redistribution of wealth. Our tax dollars are making some corporation rich. Outside of private prisons, is even if all the prisons were owned by the states, they still are, the facilities are being controlled and run by other corporations that are supplying things, supplying medical supplies, sheets, washing the sheet, all of these different things, building the facilities. It's insidious, and until we take those incentives out, until we start looking at things radically, like, I stop trying to punish people because punishments don't always work. You can look at children. Punishments don't always work. Sometimes redirection does.
We give the facade of progression. Yes. Our idea of progression should be, we should want one day to have less prisons.
Yes.
To have less inmates. To actually put people in society that can contribute while society's contributing to them.
Yes.
It's not a thing about like, all right, well, we're gonna have that new prison built, gonna have more jobs.
Yeah.
That should not be the agenda.
Yeah, but that's not even, we're looking at the 20,000 jobs versus what that brings in revenue versus the millions of prisoners who were in jail if they were actually working.
Mm-hmm.
What type of revenue would that create for all of the corporations in the communities that they live? So, but that's the thing. Even in that's a redistribution, because that person belongs probably not to that state or that community that they're in prison. So we take a person who we consider low value, bring them over into another state or further away from their people, and then assign a value to them. Now they're worth $50,000 to $60,000 because they're in jail, and it goes into a whole nother community from the community that they came from. All of that shit is redistribution, dog.
Mm-hmm.
The whole money game is a redistribution game. It's about who it gets redistributed to. Who is it going to? A small few or a larger amount of people? And that's where we need to get to in the society. I'm not against billionaires. I'm not against multi-millionaires. But I'm against a system that only wants to reward those people.
Right.
And hoards the wealth. Because I know there's going to be people who just decide that they want more, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not okay to leave the people who just need more. There's a difference. I want the needs to go away. I don't care what you want. Get the Bentley. Get the Rolls Royce. Everybody don't want that. But there's people who just need to eat. There's people who just want to live, dog. Let's take care of that. Let's move the floor. No one has any more of those basic needs. Now let's see how society flourishes. And the corporations only do better. Why would Apple not want more people to be able to afford iPhones? More people to be able to afford laptops. More people, IBM, all of them. More people to buy more stuff. More people to buy a car. More people to be able to do this.
Nah, no care, no worries.
No care.
But speaking about redistribution, who we have next on the docket?
So there was a redistribution of penis going on in the Smith household. Listen, I wasn't going to say that, but you teed that up. You teed that up, and I had to go with it.
I lobbed it in there, you know.
Listen, this is such a weird situation because like everybody kind of wants to like get in on the Smiths and laugh. Like, you know how much I love Will.
Right.
You know how much I love Will. And I was never on the bandwagon of they got an open relationship. I don't know.
It don't bother me. Look, it's none of my business. That's what I be thinking.
Business.
I be like,
open, closed, whatever.
Right. Oh. I mean, but we've heard this for what, over 10 years now?
We have. Wendy Williams. It's Wendy Williams' fault.
See?
She started it off. So, okay. Whether they had an open relationship or not. Now, when this whole situation popped up, the situation between the entanglement between Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith, and August Alsina. So apparently August Alsina had did a song like a while ago about Jada. Right. People were talking about it because they were seen in like, you know, on red carpet events, this, that, and the third. And when the interview came up with Angela Yee and August Alsina, and him basically coming out and saying he had a relationship. He didn't say it was sexual initially, but he said it was a relationship. But he did say that I could die knowing that I gave myself all of me. Now, everybody was holding on to that situation. What I noticed was this nigga had on a bozo suit. Like, did you see his half herringbone, half solid suit?
Nah, man. Look, I haven't paid attention to August Alsina in about 4 years.
Who was paying attention to August Alsina?
Jada.
Okay. Besides Jada. Listen, she probably the one who brought all his last albums. Because I know people are August Alsina fans. People are August Alsina fans. But if he would have dropped this album without that Angela Yee interview and him saying that shit about Jada, when nobody have said anything about this August Alsina album at all. It's sad because it's obvious that he did it just for
the likes.
That's it. Yeah. And that shit's corny.
Yeah.
That's corny to me. It's really corny to me.
I think that he found himself in a position where he thought that he could advance his career.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen. So now you got to do things out of spite to hope to like reach, you know?
First of all, he needs to give his hair back to Carrot Top. Did you see? What is that?
It's the August Alsina.
I'm telling you right now. When I saw him, I'm like, and I'm not one of those. I don't like saying this about people, but I'm like, he's not okay. Like I like he doesn't look mentally okay. Like he looks like he's at that place where he's grasping at straws. Like he may not be doing that well financially, especially artists like that. They gotta talk. Ain't nobody buying this stuff.
Right, he's on the brink.
He's on the brink.
He probably been on the brink and was just surviving just being on her. You know what I mean?
Yes. His career didn't pop off like that. Like,
not at all.
He's the male Kerry Hilson. Damn. Him and Kerry should do a best of no worlds, like a On the Brink album. And I love Kerry.
On the Brink
album. Kerry, babe. Listen, I love her, but once she said that thing about Beyonce,
it was a done deal.
It was a done deal. She washed herself up. That was it. That's it. And she's a talented woman. Very, very talented woman. Way more talented than August Alsina. I'm only comparing the fact that they look like they was going to do something in their career and then it just Ooh.
But I mean, I understand being young, and I understand, but you're at a point where, I mean, I guess if it's about survival and it's about, you got to try to do what's best for you. If this
Yeah,
is if this is your play, go right ahead.
go right
But
ahead.
I don't see it going far. I mean, let's say it did tear down the Smiths, and their careers go down. Whatever happens, this that. How do you benefit? You understand what I
It
mean?
was
Like,
too late. He should have done it before Will got on YouTube.
right,
People started loving him too much. It's like, oh my gosh, Jada's
right.
helping people's lives. Will is
Mhm.
over here entertaining us from his garage. This nigga's talented. He don't even need July. He don't need the theater. He'll just
Right.
entertain us on YouTube. He's
Mhm.
amazingly talented and creative. And then now you just look like a leech.
Right.
Now, but this is where the story had went a little crazy because the internet, they was like, Jada took advantage of August Alsina.
Okay. All right. I'll bite.
Can you not have sex with a depressed person? Like, is that illegal?
I mean, like, how I take it is like, yo, obviously they're both in a tough spot. Like, it is what it is. And I mean, look, the rumor started. What show did she have on TNT or whatever?
Nurse Jackie or something like that?
She was on Nurse Jackie. Was
Oh
it
no,
Nurse
Nurse Jackie was the other lady, but it was some nurse show, wasn't it?
I don't know. Was it?
Hawthorne.
Yeah, Hawthorne.
There we
So
go.
the rumor started when Mark Anthony was still with J Lo.
Oh,
She was messing with Mark Anthony.
oh, Mark
Yeah,
Anthony be bagging and tagging.
yeah. But I mean, but the whole thing is that obviously at this point, like you could tell that either one, they were separated, or two, these open relationship rumors started.
Yeah.
So,
Did you see the Red Table Talk?
yeah.
So they were not together.
Right.
They were not together. But this is the thing. August Alsina was messy by saying, I sat down with Will and I dapped him up. And he was like, you good. You good? I'm good, Will. You good. Like, it wasn't, I had a hard time believing that. It could have been that. It could have been that. But what makes it more feasible is Will is like, we're not together. You good. Like,
Right.
that's feasible to me.
Right.
Not like,
This is the whole thing. It don't bother me if they conventional or not, because after that, when filming Focus and Suicide Squad, the
yes,
rumors about him and Margot Robbie came out too.
that is the truth.
So it's just like at the end of the day, like, what business of mine is it?
None.
Yo, look, are you gonna make me a blockbuster? You gonna make a Bad Boys 3 and 4? That's
it.
all I care.
That is it.
Oh, all right. Jada getting her back blown out by somebody else. Cool.
But
She ain't make a movie for me lately.
Truthfully, the beautiful thing about it is
I don't think that people.
I love what happened.
I don't think that people see it that way. You know.
They don't, because people want to be messy because they are celebrities, and they want to tear down the light that shines bright in that family. That is a super talented family. That family obviously goes through stuff that everybody goes through: depression, issues, even though their finances are amazing, marriage issues, children issues. Willow said that she was cutting herself. That's all real things that real people go through, and that's okay. If anything, I appreciate that they're opening their family and showing us that, hey, you can get here, but that's not the work that you need to do to be whole and to be happy. Right. Happiness is really about happiness. Money doesn't do it. That's not the full equation. That's beautiful. But also, we see everybody, though, 2 weeks ago was black love, black love, black love. But missing the black love that rekindled. They're like, yo, we wasn't messing with each other. Now we're back together, and
Let me ask you a question.
Yo,
do you think that he was acting? Do you think that was 7 pounds Will Smith? Like, pursuit of happiness, like, crying at the end? Like,
if he was, bravo. Bravo. People were breaking down. They was like, Will don't even have on a belt. I don't wear belts sometimes. You think just because he's super rich, he got to wear a belt all the time? The studio's in their damn house. Yes, let's shoot. I didn't throw on a belt. It is what it is. I'm gonna go out and shoot a YouTube video after this. Like, it's
Right.
not that big of a deal. They're real people. But
Mm-hmm.
people want to dim celebrities' light because they gotta find something wrong. People can't just be having these beautiful kids who are super talented, who are just and making millions and millions of dollars. They either gotta be Scientologists, so they believe that aliens are in their body. They either gotta be they gotta be Illuminati, so, or they chilling with Jeffrey Epstein and having sex with children. Like, it's always got to be something. They've gotten all of that. Literally, the Smiths are Scientologists, Illuminati, having sex with children was a newer one. Open relationships, like there always has to be some sexual deviance attached to people who are super successful, which is just not true. Everybody's not a sexual deviant.
I'm gonna tell you what I thought when I was watching him. Him looking at her, he was just like messing with that young boy.
I told you, not him.
Right. Yo, you out there, you got caught.
You
like,
could have had a man, not him.
Right, and now I got to deal with it. You couldn't call Idris. You couldn't
This
call
emotional boy. I told you that he's a fool. He is a fool.
He's like, I gotta go ahead and cancel everybody.
That's it. I don't think Jada took advantage of him. I literally think that she probably fell for him. She thought he was cute, but they had started under different intentions. He had an illness. He was in the hospital. He was also using drugs, painkillers. And then working through that, they got close, fell for each other while shit was going bad in the household. Right. That makes sense to me. People fall for each other under horrible situations. Like, it just happens. But, like, everybody just wants to read into it and just assign, like, the worst intentions. I just think it's crazy.
Yeah, I feel you. But where we at now? All
right, so, I mean, it got super real this week. Now, I actually watched this podcast. We're podcasters, so right. We're constantly watching podcasts. One of my favorite is actually KANYE'S class. I don't listen to it, I watch it. And I watch a lot of them. I did not watch this particular episode that Nick Cannon did with Professor Griff from Public Enemy. But apparently, whatever happened on this podcast just tore Nick's whole life apart.
Yeah.
CBS Viacom has separated themselves from Nick Cannon. He won't be no more wilding out.
Right. So he's on Fox, right? Or
he's on Fox also for doing The Masked Singer, but they did not separate themselves from him.
Right. So supposedly they're the reason why he had made that apology.
Got you. Because they were like, go apologize. Listen, but you know what? After I watched what was said and I've read what was said, I understand the apology. Like,
me too.
I'm not going to assign an ism to it, but what I will say that some of the things that was said was inflammatory, and would be hurtful to groups of people, and that was obvious. But the funny thing is that I didn't understand the anti-Semitism at the beginning because the clips that were going around had no anti-Semitism in it.
Exactly.
But I ended up watching another podcast that was talking about what he was speaking to with the Rothschilds and how Jewish people had funded a lot of atrocities, specifically the Rothschilds and what happened in Germany, this, that, and the third. But apparently that harpens back to a history with Hitler and him talking about Jewish people and their funding in Germany. And that was why he decided to commit the Holocaust, because of what they were doing in funding opposition. And I was like, well, I get that now. Like, but I don't think that Nick was saying that.
Right.
But I get why that sparks that off. I'm never going to tell a Jewish bro, like, don't be offended by that.
Right.
But it's Nick's job to say, hey, I said this, but I didn't mean that.
Right, exactly.
And that apology is okay.
Right.
But the black people was like, Don't you be apologizing to these mofos out here, Nick. We got you. Nick is like, all right, I need to pay my mortgage. Well, I mean, you like nobody was anteing up.
Down now, we gonna chip down now.
You gonna chip in?
Well, see, this is my whole thing. I think that a lot of people didn't know the context, didn't see what he said, and the other thing is, you're gonna be mad at him apologizing to some people in which these are the same exact things we request of people to do.
We request it.
If someone offends us by something they said, regardless of intent,
yes,
the first thing we're looking for is that apology.
Yes.
So why are we not going to be the first people to go out there and apologize for something that may have been misinterpreted?
Nick did the right thing. He did the right thing. And you know what? And clarification is important. Like, you know, yes. I mean, two things could be true. Like the Rothschilds could be out here wilding.
Right.
And Hitler could have been utilizing this type of propaganda to propagate the extermination of Jewish people. And there could be more people who are Semitic people that have our skin color. A lot of these things could be true all at the same time, but they just got mumbled and bumbled and rolled over into one.
Right. I hate the fact that we're a society that takes something as a whole instead of being able to dissect it and being like, this is right, this is right, this is wrong, let's do this, we accept this, cool.
Yes.
It's just that like people are just like, oh, he said what he said, he wasn't wrong. It's just like there's some parts that were wrong.
There's some parts
that were wrong. And
it kind of went a little the true savages. Listen. If I'll if you want to make a comparison, if you want to say that people of color have not committed nearly as many atrocities to the scale of people who have a lighter hue, i.e. white people, on this planet, we can say that. We can say that with the transatlantic slave. We can say that with the Holocaust. We're including all of that, the genocide of Native American people, especially in this on this country.
Right.
In this country. So for those people as a whole, nobody can speak as a whole for any people, but for people to say that this group is no. But to attribute the lack of something genetically to savagery and all of that.
There's some rules that I've learned to apply to life. And one is when dealing with race, you have to stay with the facts.
Yes.
And you can't sway into conspiracy theory because too muddy.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So if you're going to deal with facts, my first thing would have been like, first and foremost, if anybody who's Jewish doesn't think that their roots come from Africa and the Middle East, there's something wrong.
Something's wrong.
First. Second is, if we know Israeli and Palestinian conflict is purely based on the idea that, okay, Jews needed a territory in what was originally their homeland.
Yep.
These are still your brothers in a sense, because
thank you.
We are all from the same area. So if Jewish and Palestinians are from the same area, that means that the only reason why they're Muslim is because the Jews left before Islam got to that area. Period.
Yep.
And the only reason why you're now a lighter hue is because you spent more time in Europe before you ever got back.
That's it.
It has nothing to do with
we're the same people, bro.
Right.
You came from people that look like me, not me. You came from people that look like me, that have this hue. It's just climate condition that created something different on the outside. That's it. We literally are all one. We are all one.
People need to stop thinking that the world was created yesterday. Like
it was not. It was not.
I'm telling you right now, I'm almost certain that my descendants were a whole lot darker than me.
Bro.
In a lot of fashions, I'm almost certain that a lot of people.
If you look at your children, if you just look at my skin and then I look at the skin of my children, their skin complexion is not my skin complexion.
Right.
So if that can happen, in one night of passion, and I mean, it was some good passion. Thank you, baby. It was one night of passion.
Okay.
What can happen over hundreds and thousands of years to people in different conditions and climates? You have to imagine that. Like, if you could see that happen in this small act, then we know that the genetic code and the recessive genetic, all of those things change groups of people.
Right.
That's it. But they all came from boom, right there, right there.
Right. I just, it's so difficult to have that understanding that I look, I respect all religions, and you know
Yes.
me, I'm under that idea that all these religions were all praying to the same person.
Same creator.
I don't understand why. Look, even if you feel like, yo, your Jewish heritage is okay, if you're telling me that home is this one place, believe me, I'm almost certain that they were a little dark back in the day. But hey,
yes,
I could be wrong. I don't want to.
Just look up at the sun. You could just tell that these people would be dark.
I'm not Nick Cannon or anything, but
yes.
I'm saying,
yes.
you know.
Yes.
But I mean, but the whole thing is, I understand. But this is another reason why the idea of us putting so much energy in complexion is one of the biggest problems.
So much. It's so weird. It's so weird. It's like when we open up a box of Crayola crayons,
Mm-hmm.
it's like there's beauty in the fact that there's so many colors.
Right.
And you can do so much with the colors. And that's how we're supposed to be looking at the world. There's beauty in all these different hues, the shapes of noses, the shapes of chins, the shapes of ears, the shapes of bodies. All of these things have beauty in them. It's amazing the variations that come together to make a human being. And it's amazing the variations that come together to make small differences. And then when you see them together, they look so much alike. Like, that's beautiful.
My biggest problem is always going to be if this is the issue, so that means that white Jews will never accept black Jews and black Jews will never accept whites. Like
what?
Cool.
Reading the same book, believing the same thing, and that there's a problem.
Right.
We gotta destroy. Like, I'm reading this book. Don't Fall for the Okie Doke. I just started it. And it's about race. It's about the lie of race.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and because of this whole thing, I started like buying a whole bunch of books. I was listening to some Jane Elliott stuff. I even got the ISIS Papers, which was the book that everybody's saying that Nick is speaking to and speaking from Francis Cress Welsing. Listen, people say a lot of her stuff is wrong. It could be wrong, but I want to read it. I want to read it to know the wrong parts that she's saying. Because a lot of these people who saying that her stuff is wrong have not even read the book.
That's the one thing that took me off of. I was raised Catholic. And my biggest thing was always asking, like, why is this religion wrong? Why is that religion wrong?
Yeah.
I think I'm probably the first person who I ever asked that question to, who went and picked up a Quran, went and picked up a Torah. Like, my idea was always, well, I'm going to know why that's wrong. Like, you're not going to tell me that it's wrong just because someone else told you.
Because.
But anyways, I want you to give me that book when you finish.
I will. I got a couple of things that maybe we can even start doing some things and talking about the books on our podcast, because I feel like, especially if we expose more people and more people are reading these things and taking the good parts of things. Like, some things are going to be wrong, sure, but let's figure out where they went wrong so that we can find the right information. But but I mean, we can't finish up the Nick Cannon situation because apparently there was an update. He was speaking to the fact that he was thinking about committing suicide recently because of this whole thing.
Are you serious?
I don't. Apparently, it was written. My wife was telling me he wrote it himself. It wasn't even written about him. I guess it was a post that he posted. Like, you know, I think people don't realize, like, people are real human beings.
Yeah.
And, you know, as much as we like to sensationalize things, it is a strong possibility that Nick is feeling some serious hurt because he hurt a group of people which he did not intend to hurt.
Right.
And, you know, and to then feel like the world is turning on you, because when you and I face our issues, the world is not facing us.
Right.
They're not commenting. They're not finding out. They're not saying negative things about our families. You know,
I mean,
but
I wouldn't know.
That's true. You're not looking for it. You're not looking. They can say what they want, right? They can say what they want. But like, we got to understand, like, even when we're talking about August Alsina and all these individuals, like, they're human beings, and they like people say wrong shit all the time in their house, or in their small bubbles. It's just that when these celebrities or people with a platform say wrong shit, it's magnified. Right. It seems bigger. It seems like, and everybody has something to say about somebody. I just wish people would apply that same thing to themselves. Like, would you want to be treated like you're treating Nick right now?
Right. And so many people are obtuse about things, so it's so difficult to actually make a point without someone feeling some type of way about something that you said.
Yes.
And it could be a small fraction of everything that you said, and they won't take in anything else.
Nothing else.
But
I think Nick is doing some great work. I think he made a serious blunder. I'm glad that he apologized. I do think it's kind of corny that MTV fired him so quick, because I think they kind of set them up for a bad precedent, because the next person that says some shit that's on their network, they better move as fast. Like,
but I was just gonna say, what other? I mean, Viacom did it. So
Viacom did it. You're right. MTV didn't do it.
Because now I'm thinking to myself, like, the idea is that, all right, well, we still got love in hip hop, and
we're all that black shit.
We don't have to worry about black culture right now.
Yeah, so true. I think that's how they looking. All right, okay.
We're going through the gauntlet now.
All right. Let's start positivity.
Okay.
The word is we're gonna be able to get some Yeezy shit for very cheap.
What?
Okay. So Kanye West supposedly inking a deal with the Gap.
Okay. Yes, I heard this.
Which is very exciting. Very exciting. I'm gonna have to get in the gym because the Gap, they kind of got that European cut. So in order for me to get my Yeezy originals, I'm gonna have to slim down. But I'm very excited because Yeezy stuff be very expensive. But I do believe that if this deal is gonna go through, man, it's gonna really magnify what the Gap is able to do. I mean, because that what Zara had did with I think it was Versace. I think they had that Versace. I don't know why they didn't do more, but what they did with Versace, and I think they did like another big brand. This is the way to go. Like, Kanye West revitalizing what happens at the Gap is going to make the Gap relevant again.
Okay.
Relevant again. I mean, when's the last time you shopped at Gap?
To be honest, I asked a couple people this question, and I heard that the Gap is big overseas. It's not. It just fell off here.
I believe that.
So, I mean, because from what I'm hearing is that it's like a luxury item overseas.
Stop it.
Yeah, like it's a top. I was like, oh, so y'all not going on? What's the website? Limeware or whatever, that has all of the things that they own. They have Old Navy.
Okay.
Republic is like one website. I was okay.
It's all one company. They all make this.
But I mean, the smartest thing that they can do is close down every brick and mortar store and just focus on being online.
That is the smartest thing you can. But I mean, if it's a special experience, think about it. If you go into the mall, you got some special experience curated by Kanye West. Then that makes it interesting, That even makes, IKEA even was even more interesting. People were lined up for IKEA when Virgil Abloh dropped that off-white shit.
Yeah, I feel you. I can see it.
It's crazy.
I'm gonna see what pieces come out first.
Yes.
I've been losing weight on Corona. So
listen,
I don't have Corona. Not losing weight on.
Yeah. Let's clear that up.
During the time.
Check the connection settings in the Google Home app.
Shut up. That was my Google Home Mini.
I was about to say, I was like, we got a guest? Who that?
My Google Home Mini went off like that was an ad. But okay.
I got to see what cuts come out. That's it.
You're right. We got to see what comes out.
Look, maybe I can fit into it.
Listen, this is the question. Can he produce for Gap while moving into the Oval Office? Wait, is 2020 not a thing?
Oh, you saw? I didn't know if my screen froze or not.
Is 2020 not a thing? Yo, listen. I love Kanye West. I love his creativity, and I absolutely love his confidence. But this is where his confidence went wrong. Listen, his confidence, when he is prepared and confident, the best. When he's prepared to create some of the best music ever, oh my gosh, does he? When he's prepared to curate some of the best visual experiences, oh my gosh, amazing. When he is confident but unprepared to make his presidential election speech of him stepping into the race, it's a train wreck, dog.
You think he wasn't prepared?
Oh, you know what's funny?
Hmm?
He probably thought it through, and it just, man, it just. Did you watch the whole thing?
No.
I couldn't watch the whole thing, but I mean,
Cringeworthy.
and I'm gonna throw in the clip, but everybody keeps putting up the Harriet Tubman clip.
You know what clip I watched him when he started crying, and I was like, no,
bro. Now that's where it got a little serious because I'm like, what's going on? And like, I'm not the person. I don't want to attribute, like, I don't want to say he's having a mental breakdown. I don't want to say that he's, going through, but that nigga's going through. The nigga's having a mental breakdown.
I wonder, I wonder if this is coordinated at this point.
Is it coordinated? Where was his family? Normally Kim is there. Did they decide not to be there?
You know what he reminds me of now? I'm gonna tell you exactly what he reminds me.
Go.
He reminds me of in the 90s, Howard Stern.
Oh.
Like the ability to say whatever,
yeah,
just to get the reaction, regardless of whether you believe it or not. And I think that his thing is, whenever I'm gonna be in front of this camera, I'm gonna make sure I'm not on my meds, so that I'm not filtered and I can speak off the top of the mind.
Yeah.
And I'll be back to normal next week. Not even gonna worry about it because I'm gonna be all right. And I mean,
is he doing some Andy Kaufman shit? Like, is this like, okay, I just like, this is my real prayer. My real prayer is that I turn on my laptop, I go to Google, and I find out that there's a Kanye West movie dropping, directed by Spike Lee. We didn't know he was there, but he's been filming all of it
for years.
And Kanye is showing us how celebrity can be utilized and weaponized in many different ways. And this was a whole social experiment. And I'm gonna be like, bravo, he's the man. Like I feel like he was working with what's his name? Joaquin Phoenix. And Joaquin Phoenix was showing him how to, go off the cuff and then really bring people in to this social experiment. I just hope that's what it is.
Okay, I feel you, brother.
But I feel like we're watching a person who's not okay, but has a microphone in front of them. And that's scary.
Nah, all right. So I'm going to always go back to this.
Okay.
My thing about celebrities and idols, you know how I feel. I don't think that I've run into one celebrity who's everything you want type of celebrity. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm not like I've said this before. I'm not watching these actors and movies. I'm not listening to these artists and music to get political opinions. I'm not looking at them to get some tips on what I should be doing in my life. Like, I'm not gonna ever expect that because someone's celebrity or their fame has risen them to a certain level that now they can give me advice in places where they're not a professional at.
Yeah.
I could give two. I don't give a damn. I'll put it to you. And when Kanye comes out with some music, I'm here for it.
I'm with it.
Kanye comes out with some clothes. I look at it. I say that's nice until I can afford it.
Yep.
Same thing. Like, look, there's no way that I'm out here and I'm going to. Currently, I'm not going to Will Smith and asking him how should I get a stable marriage.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's certain things that if I'm going to this one person for this one specialty that they do, I could care less their opinions on everything else. So, I mean, at the end of the day, Well, do I think that Kanye is going to be the best president in the world if he gets elected? I'm going to be like, I'm a hold
Okay,
reservation.
but we gotta listen. Let's just do a little exercise.
Okay.
What do we really need in a president? Like, are we looking for an expert, a person who's an expert on all topics? When
No.
it comes, no, we're not looking for an expert. We're looking for, I would say, a person who can aggregate information and make a decision,
Right.
and have the best interests of the larger population at heart.
In football, we call that a game manager.
A game manager. Let's go.
I need you to use all the tools you got.
That's it.
I need you to be efficient.
Yes.
I need you to figure these things out.
Yes.
I don't need you to be a specialist here. I don't need you to be a specialist here. I need you to have specialists on your team who can give you the information so you can make appropriate decisions.
I think that we've been looking at presidency all wrong. And like, this is outside of Kanye. I'm not saying Kanye is the guy at all.
Right.
But what I am saying is, I believe we've been looking for the wrong people the whole time. Like, if we just look at the people that have passed us, and I mean, you were on this guy very early, and I'm thinking about his qualifications. And where we see these people fall short is we want people to kind of be charismatic, kind of be interesting, and be able to capture you with their voice. Why do we want the best speaker? Why do we want a person to be a great... they don't even write the shit anyway.
We need them to be eloquent.
He can hire a better speaker. Like, why do we want them to be, regal?
I think the idea is we always think that they're going to talk to other supreme leaders.
In that way.
So we need them to be able to have a conversation and not be like, all right, what am I supposed to say now?
Yeah.
But I mean, the idea is that if you're scholarly and you're an intellectual, chances are that stuff comes natural.
Having a phone conversation with a leader or sitting down with a leader is very different from being on a podium and carrying on a speech towards millions of people and cameras and lights. Those are two different, disciplines. I do want someone who can use words, but I don't need a performer.
Right.
I don't.
I think this is the reason why so many people did love Bill Clinton, because of his ability to basically just navigate a room, regardless of who's in it.
Yeah.
Able to allow someone else, whether it's the people, whether it's another leader, whether it's people on his staff, to lower their defenses so that now we can have this one-on-one conversation.
Yes.
I think that's the one reason.
But when you have that and you don't have a person who's necessarily looking for the best intent, has the best intentions for the mass of all 330 million people, in the United States of America, I feel like we got to reorder the priorities. Like, you can learn some things, but if you don't have the good intention, you're already out.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you are already a person who thinks inside the box, I don't want you. I want you to understand the things that are inside the box, but think outside the box. Because then we have a person who can balance problem solving. Because if all you're looking for is the solutions in the pieces that you're already given, that's not what we need. We need a person who's willing to step out and put new pieces together, or create teams to put new pieces together.
Right.
Or excite the people to create bills that put new pieces together. All those different things are in different people. And I don't see that in Joe necessarily. I don't see that. I know I don't see that in Trump. But damn it, the man's out. But I do see that in Yang. I do see that in Yang, dog. I do see that in Yang.
Look, I'm telling you. You want me to tell you the complete truth?
Go.
I'm just hoping we have a president. We can have an election in 2024. Like, I'm hoping the country's still here.
Hoping the country's still here. First of all, the numbers in coronavirus are going up. We got 25% of the deaths. It's really sad. It's really sad, dog. It's not good outside right now. Like it ain't that safe outside. And we're all arguing over whether we should be wearing a mask. Put on the fucking mask.
The rest of the world is looking at us
Crazy.
like, look. I seen this meme the other day and it said, the US is the world's Florida.
It is, dog. We look crazy.
Like other countries are looking at us like, y'all fighting about the mask.
The mask.
The mask. Y'all
The
fighting
mask, dog. This idea of like, people don't even understand words like freedom.
No.
The idea of freedom and this, like, and that's where it goes scary, like with the whole libertarian ideology. That is dangerous for some people because they think I do whatever the hell I want without any idea or connection to other people and how that may affect other people. We're literally watching people tweeting about the lie of coronavirus, and then either they get sick, a dude died, or their family member gets severely sick. Like, it's real, guys. Stuff really doesn't happen. People really do get sick.
The worst story I heard. The worst story I heard was like one of the guys who led the first like the first protest against the mask had gotten sick.
Yeah.
And then he said that he had put it in his will after he got sick that if he died, he didn't want none of the he didn't want his body tested so that they can see about any of that.
What?
So you don't believe in Corona so much that you don't even want them to use you to help other people after you got it, that you did it. Okay.
People are crazy, dog. They gotta stop. We gotta stop. Like, we live in a world where this is the problem. We live in a world where people want to live with their truth. There is no your truth. There's just truth.
Nah, man. Everyone's been brought up on that. There's three sides to a story.
No, there's not. There's only one side of the story and two liars. Those he was lying. He omitted. It's called omission.
The person who said that was lying too. Right?
He was lying. Your side, my side, and there's only the truth. That's it. There's no three sides. Only the truth.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. Listen, okay, but it got, listen, but did you see what the crying was about, though? The crying was about the fact that he said that his father wanted to abort him. Mm-hmm. And his mother saved his life. And he wanted to abort, I believe, Nori, which I believe she's the first one. I'm not sure. And Kim was not okay with that. Now, that crying didn't come from a place of being whole or being healed in that regard. Right. That was hurt and that was pain that he might be working through and putting in an interesting perspective. Like, yes, like, we can have a real discussion about this is the weird thing about abortion as a whole. Like, I'm a pro-choice person, right, who wants zero abortions, right? Because like I'm the type of person who believe I shouldn't tell you what to do, but I also believe that I want to create the conditions so that you can make a decision of not aborting a child. Like, I want to remove all the financial situations. I want to move all the lack of security. I want to move all the situations of, connections with having children with people who you may not feel like you can trust. If we remove all of that, how many abortions would we really have? Right. Because these conditions create these reasonings. But it's interesting. I want to know, what was his reasoning for why he wanted to abort the child with Kim?
I don't think he was ready.
Huh?
I don't think he was ready.
You're right.
Probably still not ready, but I'm just saying.
He probably still not ready. Or do you think, was this around the time of him questioning his mental illness? Yeah. Maybe he thought he was going to pass something down. that's a serious statement. Like I kind of want to know. I want to know to the point where like I don't care about knowing specifically about him. I want to know because I feel like this is a conversation that we should be having. That there are legitimate reasons, even a celebrity who has all the money in the or who's successful has all the money in the world, why would they not want their first child at that point? You know, you could take care of them. What was it? And that guilt that carries on for even having that thought. Should you be guilty? Isn't it a human thought? Isn't it a human thought to say, you know, am I ready? You know, am I ready emotionally? Because it's not just about financially. Am I ready to be responsible for another human being?
Right.
You know?
Knowing that your actions, regardless of being rich or not, knowing that your actions will play a part in that child's life.
Absolutely. Know? That's a significant, that is very, very important. And that's what I feel like is important that we have these conversations and like, and what's the word? Curate them in a way where like, you know, not going for the low hanging fruit. Kanye was crying. He said some crazy things about Harriet Tubman. We'll get to that. But that we curate and that we narrow down on like some significant things that we can pull from it. And I think that was a significant thing. But Harriet Tubman.
Yes.
Kanye came for Harriet Tubman.
He must have saw the movie.
He said that she did not free the slaves. She just got them new jobs off of Craigslist with some other white people. And you know what? I'm going to be honest. I think the only reason why he said that is because of Cynthia Erivo. Like it's their fault. Listen, if it was if it was Viola Davis who played Harriet Tubman, there would be no conversation about what did or did not happen. Okay? There would be no conversation at all. Like he said that with real conviction.
Yeah, he did.
I read somebody's interpolation of it. They were trying to say that he was implying that she really just, you know, she utilized white people to help her move the people and then get them new positions in the North, and they were still working for white people. And his real implication was to bring it to today and how we don't really own anything as black people. We don't own any of the companies that we work for. So therefore, you know, all we're doing is what Harriet did and moving ourselves around working for different white people.
You remember... You remember what I said earlier about saying something that it makes sense in some parts, but you went a little too far. So I understand what he means.
He didn't need an analogy. Leave Harriet out of it.
Right. That's the point. So saying that the idea that the North was doing all this to end slavery and that was their one reason, it wasn't really the case. I understand that.
No.
But their benefit of doing this or doing that and getting slaves freed just made them cheap work labor for the North, if that makes more sense. You know, you ain't got to say nothing about Harriet Tubman.
Nothing about Harriet Tubman.
Look, I know people would take offense. It don't matter what it is.
Yes.
But the idea that like, it's like saying, oh, you know, that the Democrats were the ones who started slavery and this, that, and the other, or whatever.
Yes.
And, you know, we should all be Republicans, but then we want to be in Democrats again later on in life. Oh, okay, cool. I know.
Yeah.
You know, we were being black. You know, you're thinking that you're free and you're going to go someplace else and you're still not free.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You ain't got to say Harriet Tubman's name. She ain't do nothing to you.
No.
She ain't do that to you. Her intentions were right, you know?
Yes.
And look, and for anybody who knows, you know, Harriet Tubman did a little bit more because she was just like, all right, we're going to get you all out the U.S. She was sending people all the way.
The nigga said the Underground Railroad was a temp company, basically. He was like, Harriet Tubman was a recruiter for a temp company named the Underground Railroad, and she got niggas new jobs with people in the North. That's what I got from it. That's what I got. That's what I got. Yeah. He did, like, why?
told you, look, I'm not gonna take my meds for 2 days. Believe me, the shit's gonna be fire when I say
Shit's
it.
gonna be fire.
And I'll be back by Wednesday, and my name will be all in these streets.
Mhm.
That's it.
But the funny thing is, when he said it, he was looking. I could see his eyes. See how he thought that the crowd might have been with him, but then he realized that the crowd did not go in the way that it was going to go. And whoever that woman was who took the video was like, "We out, we out, we out. We leaving right now. We leaving right now." She couldn't even stand there and listen to the shit. But where's the pictures of the crowd? Because I feel like they leaving the video of the crowd out. I want to see how many people showed up. Where was his mic and what was his haircut? That's what was scary. The 2020 on his head with Beijing, like the nigga Beijing 2020 on his head.
Yeah, so maybe he's hoping that China does the extra push, you know?
He planning something. This year is very interesting, Louis.
We'll see in November. Look. I didn't even know that Trump said he may not even accept the election.
Bro, I heard it. I was watching Roland Martin.
What?
I love me some Roland Martin, and I'm watching. I'm like, he's like, I don't know. I think He was doing an interview with Chris Wallace. He was like, I don't know. I have to see what happens, because they're doing this thing with the mail-in ballot, and who knows? I don't know how I'm gonna feel about that. I don't know how I'm gonna, what?
I'm packing my stuff just in case, just so you know.
Bro,
my stuff is packed and ready. Packed and ready.
They already saying that people can work from other countries for a year.
Estonia and Georgia, the country, not the state, for people who don't realize that there's a country, Georgia.
Yes.
So if anybody wants to go to Estonia or Georgia, they're the two that have already approved.
The islands, Barbados is one of them.
Yeah.
So okay. Come down here for a year.
About to be Bayesian in a minute.
My wife's family is Bayesian.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm gonna be shacking up with y'all.
Yo, because it's first of all, I think just as people we need to think outside the box and stop, because we get stuck in the cities that we live in, we get stuck in the states. Mm-hmm. Experience in other countries is something special outside of all the stuff that's happening in politics. Right. It could be a great experience for you, yourself, and your family just being in a whole nother country for a year. Especially if you financially can do it. If you could work remote and do some stuff, think about it interestingly. Like, what if you could survive? What could we use the same money that we're using and live a better life somewhere else? It's definitely possible. And there's a lot of dirty ass water around here. Like when you go to the islands, they water be so much. Like, listen.
Pristine.
I grew up going to New York City beaches, like the beaches in the New York area, and I didn't know that beaches could look the way.
You didn't know that beaches were blue, right?
I didn't. What? Blue?
Clear?
What?
How many times you went to Rockaway or Coney Island and was like,
dog?
People having the time of their lives because they don't know.
If they only knew. If they only knew that mud water is not for you.
For our New York listeners, we are sorry.
I'm sorry, dog. I too wore my Timbs to the beach. Now I be at the Caribbean islands flip flopping it up
all day.
Flip flopping it up, drinking on the beach.
When you can stand in knee deep water and see your feet,
Beautiful.
I don't think that people realize how bad it is in New York.
It's crazy, dog. It's crazy, but I mean. We got a lot of things going on, man. It's just rolling in. But praying for Kanye West.
Look, I'm praying for Kanye. I'm praying for you. I'm praying for me.
Yes. Pray for the country.
Yes.
If we have one.
If you don't wear a mask, please.
Just put on listen. The first time I put on the mask, it felt some type of way. Mm-hmm. It was different. Now it's just normal. It feels fine.
You're submitting.
I'm submitting. And you know what? It's okay. I'm surviving. I'm going out. I'll pick up food. I have on the mask. Everybody's being safe. That's fine. That is fine.
You know me. Like I love thinking outside the box and stuff, but I mean, like, this is probably the first time that I'm really like, I think we are genuinely watching the collapse of America.
We are genuinely watching it. But this is my question.
Mhm.
Is Bill Gates doing it? That's what they saying. They saying that Bill Gates is doing it, and he's gonna vaccine all of us.
I think the elitists have an idea of what's happening and what they're going to do.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I was going to say was,
Are they discussing it at an orgy? That's what we need to know.
maybe.
Maybe.
I'm always sitting here and I'm wondering, like, all right, so is this new world order actually going to be bad for us, or is this supposed to be good for us?
I don't know.
We don't know.
I don't know.
So
is it
those
weird that I'm
thoughts
ready
make
for
me-
some Jetson type of shit? Like, I like electric cars. I want us all to have electric cars. I want the Marty McFly skateboard. I want to, you know,
Yep.
like I'm ready
and,
for
you know,
all
out
this
of,
shit.
out of all those things, the only thing we got was his sneakers, and they cost
That's
$4,000.
it. Fuck. And you can't get them now. Like, come on. Listen, it's crazy. Listen, I don't think that we get anywhere with the over conspiracizing our nation, because like then there's nowhere to turn. It's like there's no one you can trust. Who are you going to trust? Like you can't trust anybody who's smart. Elon Musk is trying to do this. This person's trying to do that. But anytime I'm one of those people. Anytime there's a huge amount of light on any one individual, I don't believe that that's the individual, because for me, it would only make sense that the powers that be, who might be doing some nefarious shit, would allow the light to stay on that individual, because it keeps the light off of them.
Exactly.
That's it. Like, you know, the population control stuff, that's real. People have said some serious stuff about population control.
Mhm.
That's real. That's real. I don't like that type of talk. I don't like it at all. I don't like it at all. But in our society right now, the way it's structured, they might be right.
Just a matter
Because we are about hoarding. We're about hoarding resources. And is it going to work with us hoarding resources? Will we have to move to a different type of system and sharing different type of resources and moving things over? Maybe we to keep our society going, we got to stop using fossil fuels. Maybe.
Right.
Maybe we need to move towards more electric. Maybe.
Mhm.
And that has to come from investment. Same thing with schooling. Maybe to keep schooling going, especially right now, we got to really think about, you know what? Let's buy all these kids fucking laptops, make sure they have the tech in their house, and then who can learn in the schools, who needs to learn in schools, learn in the schools. Let's reduce that class size. Those who need to learn at home or in another facility, but basically on a computer, let's move those people to that.
Right.
But you know why we're having such a huge problem with schooling right now? It's because we never built enough of them anyway. We got a whole bunch of fucking prisons. We don't have enough school buildings.
Well, don't worry. I'm about to I'm gonna move to Akon City. They just started phase 1.
Word. It'd be you and what's his name with the red hair? Because they did that song. What's the dude name that the snitch? What's his name?
Oh, 6ix9ine.
6ix9ine. It'd be you and 6ix9ine.
Yep.
Yo.
Get him, Dizzy.
Yo, this year is very interesting. But we're gonna be here documenting and talking about this year as often as we can. I'm No Justin, No Peace.
And I'm Lou Rivers.
And we are the Loose Cannons Podcast, because we sit down and we fire off our opinions on today's pop culture.
What else?
Politics.
What else?
Movies and TV and how they all intersect. And this was a great episode. We'll check you guys next time.
Peace.